One of the core principles and exercises in shadow work is going into your body. When you can go into your body, we can experience emotional and physical pain, but it is in that state that we can begin to heal it. Oftentimes, we try to ignore it or repress it, and we end up instead exploding to selves or others. Or even worse, the pain comes back stronger. So, how do we get into our bodies to heal? Stay tuned to find out more. Namaste, Sacred Masters. I'm Dr. Iwas Yukehi, Shadow Work NLP Manifestation Coach, and I'm here to help you with your shadow work and manifesting questions, as well as give you tips on new ways you can practice your self-growth. So don't forget to subscribe for Grabovio numbers on Tuesdays, pick card shadow work on Thursdays, and shadow work manifesting tips on Sundays, so you don't miss anything that can improve your life and find your light in the darkness. Now let's talk about getting into our bodies. Getting into our bodies is part of our enlightenment process. Too many times, we want to go higher, but not deeper. In shadow work, we always strive to go deeper, so that when we go higher through our authentic selves, rather than what I call spiritual bypassing, which is when you try to transcend your feelings and ignore the body. You ever wonder why many spiritual people are sick and broke? That's because they stopped listening to the valuable signs within their bodies, which contains the secret to manifesting and abundance. Imagine if you try to cover your gas indicator on your car, trying to ignore that it is low on fuel. Guess what? You're asking for it. At some point, it will be empty and you'll be left struggling. Your body, which contains your emotions, are the navigation systems to your spiritual journey, including your manifestations. I talked about it in my video that you can look at, which I talk about how the universe currency works. In short, it is time plus what you do with your time plus emotion equals universe currency. This is how we pay the universe, very much like paying to fill up the tank of your car. If you want to learn more about it, you can click on the link above or description box below. So, what is our body trying to navigate us through? It is trying to move us into states where we no longer suffer. By listening to our bodies, we can change trajectory, allowing feelings to flow through us, never dwelling on suffering, and thus experience liberation, freedom, abundance, and divine openings. You start moving through life with instincts and intuition, creating a life that is more authentic, which also makes you more attractive to people. So how can we get into this state? First, we must learn how we stop listening to our bodies and start living in our heads. In the process, our bodies hurt. We get into victim mentality, in which we feel that we are the victims all the time. We overthink situations and live in our heads too much. We desire for the world around us to change instead of changing within. We use distractions like substance abuse, eating, indulging, and over-socializing. So you might be asking, how do I get into my body and learn from it? In short, shadow work. Of course, there are many ways to get into your bodies, such as sports, dancing, or working out. But since this is not a health channel, let's focus on the shadow work. In many of my meditation videos, the first thing I ask anyone to do is breathing. Breathing is not only the core within you, the life that flows within you. Breathing also helps you connect to both the universe and your subconscious. Your subconscious does many things that you're not aware of 99% of the day, and the most important one is breathing. By breathing, you are connecting to your subconscious by being aware. You can feel this breath cycling through your body. This is the first step into getting into your body. The next step would be to feel your emotions. No, I'm not talking about the emotions that you are currently feeling. I'm talking about the ones that you abandon, the ones that you have thrown into the shadow. If you do not bring them out, you cannot get into your body, because there is no space psychologically and spiritually as it is blocked by your shadow. Allowing them to surface can be scary, but also deeply cathartic. Remember, the harder you feel that it is to get into your body, chances are all this small low-grade emotional pain you repress has probably accumulated deep within you. It is time to sit with it and release it. A technique I use is to find where the emotional depth lives in. You can sit with yourself and really bring out this pain and see where it lives in your body. The most common is the stomach. From there, you can use your breath to slowly expel the pain. That is the basis for shadow work. Of course, there are other ways to get into your bodies, such as water drinking and noticing it, but oftentimes we forget that the body has a spiritual and emotional function to it. It's not just a physical element of it. Yes, we see our bodies as merely a vessel. It has arms, legs, head, shoulders, etc. But a deeper aspect into getting into our bodies is that we must feel as well. Do you feel tired? Do you feel energized? Do you feel sad? Do you feel anger? While we may easily understand these feelings, it is what we do with them that counts. What we do with our emotions is how we get into our bodies and really get to know it. But here's the kicker. Not many of us get to know our bodies when it comes to the negative emotions. Instead, we repress it. Why is that? Surprisingly, the answer is not that we don't like it. It is that we were indoctrinated to repress it. See, you were born a wonderfully perfect human being, capable of all emotions, love, happiness, but you were also capable of anger and sadness, and a whole range of other spectrums. But what happens is that as you grew up, you start to learn traits in order to survive in this world. You were taught not to be angry, to control yourself, etc. These are the logical blueprints of society that your family and friends have handed down to you. In fact, men like myself are often taught to learn how to repress our anger because it makes us appear more in control. The problem is, repressing feelings doesn't make us in control. It does the opposite. It sits within you and often comes out like an explosion. Floodgates opening. No, real control of your body is knowing when these negative emotions come and how to sit with it. Control it. Master it. Use anger to spark creativity and maybe even become better physically. If you watch the Last Dance basketball documentary, it is all about athlete Michael Jordan and how he turns his anger into his advantage, becoming one of the greatest ball players of all time. But that's because he learns how to use the anger when it comes. He doesn't repress or suppress it. He don't let it simmer inside his body and it turns from constructive energy into overt aggression, which is a destructive energy. So you see, when you get into your body and know it, you can begin to transmute these energies in a proper way. For a female engineer I know, she constantly gets made fun of by male counterparts. Instead of quitting like a lot of her friends in a toxic environment, she learned to channel that anger and use it as a motivation to become the lead engineer in her company. You can imagine the look on the guys' faces when they now have to listen to her every word. That is the power of listening to your body, and through instincts, knowing what to do with it. Just don't ignore it. There is much to learn from our bodies and the feelings within it. Have you heard of mukbi muki, which is an urge to take off your clothes when you dance? Or what about killing, that flustering feeling when you talk to someone you like butterflies in your stomach? Or how about yutwain, which is the revitalizing effects of taking a walk against the wind? These are words from Bantu, Tagalog, and Dutch that has no direct English equivalent. It goes to show that we all grew up in different societies and we learn emotions in different ways. But if we sit with our bodies, we are able to feel it the same way as others do in this world. You know that nostalgic longing for the past with happiness for the fond memories and yet sad that it is no longer here? The Japanese call it natsukashi. While we don't have a word for it, we still experience it. How wonderful is that? Getting into our bodies not only connects us with ourselves, but with the universe. Thus, the act of shadow work and sitting with your feelings, especially the negative ones, are extremely important when you want to get inside your body. It is my hope too that I can help you with it so that you're not alone. I am slowly releasing a series of shadow work meditation videos that you can access and choose an emotion to feel and do that meditation. Oftentimes, it would not only help you sit with it, but also to learn how to release it rather than suppress it. It is my hope that the idea of shadow work is not too scary a thought for many, and the immense benefits it can have for you is infinite. So, here is the playlist. Save it so you can come back to it anytime I upload new ones, and use this as a tool in your arsenal. I'll see you there. Namaste.